Let me. If it's me, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna shut my. See if you hear it when I shut my.
All right, welcome to the channel, everybody. The comics aficionados are back, and this week we've got a comic retailer roundtable. We've got some retailers from around the country to talk about what I'm considering the worst week in comic book history. With us, new to the channel, Yule Carter. How you doing, buddy?
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it was the worst week in comics history. There used to be fifth weeks where there wouldn't be any comic books, but, that was then. But now, who knows?
Yeah. Also, first time on the channel from LarryComics.net. Larry, how you doing?
Hey, guys. How are you? It's great to be here. I love this show, so it's kind of fun to participate.
Well, yeah, well, glad you can make it. He's on his phone. We're having some technical difficulties, but we're going to work through it. The other retailer we got two more retailers. Perch from Comics by Perch. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on, and congratulations on your subs.
Well, I appreciate it. We're fingers crossed we'll make it to 5,000 by next weekend, or we'll have to wait another week for the giveaway. And then the other retail aficionado, Pele. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I hope everybody's doing good this Saturday morning. I guess that we're here to talk about how much pain we're feeling.
Yeah, there's a lot of pain to go around right now. And then last but not least is my co-host, Doc. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. I'm the only non-retailer here except for you, Wes.
Yes, yeah. We're just here hosting the party. You guys, we're here to hear what the retailers have to say. So, spill it, Yule. Is it as bad as everyone's forecasting? What's the mood of the room? On the retailer forums and stuff.
Well, I don't think it's very good. I don't join in on those all the time, but sometimes I will, chat. I'm kind of shy when it comes to the internet sometimes. So, like, there's the Facebook groups. Perch actually helped me get. As a retailer, I am a grunt, and I own a store now, and I still have a lot of those grunt tendencies. So I haven't really joined and gone out and actually done all the stuff that other retailers do all the time. But recently I was in one of those forums, like I said, the one that Perch helped me get into. And I said something, and it got a lot of comments, and it doesn't look very good. That's boiling everything down. It doesn't look great.
Yeah, so it was just an amazing week. So last week, Diamond Distribution canceled or said they were going to stop shipping comics nationwide. They're halting distribution. And then this week, we learned Diamond Comics isn't making payments. DC, Marvel, and Image Comics all canceled their digital releases, days before, within 24 hours of actually release. And now Marvel's saying that they're rolling back, 33% of their new comics in May and June are no longer being produced. We've got IDW canceling titles right now. Perch, are you starting to get really worried, or are you just still a little worried?
I mean, I'm as worried as I've been. It's things are not good. I think we haven't hit any kind of solution yet. I think people are looking for solutions still, and we have not hit it yet. I think that we've got a long ways down to go, but I mean, I think everybody in retail is facing this right now. That's the problem.
Absolutely, I think there's plenty of pain to go around. It's just not the comic book industry and the associated businesses. I think everyone's getting it. I know, Paley, you said your traffic is down like 60-70%.
Oh, it's completely dead. So we have just basically appointment only. It's a situation. Just somebody. We're a back issue shop predominantly anyway. Probably 80% of our business. So people just make appointments. Collectors make appointments. They come in and get what they want, and then they leave. So it's the traffic is way down as far as actual number of customers, but sales haven't been impacted as much because the people who are making appointments are people that are going to buy. So it's just not great. Not great at all.
What was that, Larry?
They might be just lonely. They just want to come out and visit.
Keep your distance.
Being cooped up like this does suck. Yesterday, I went out to meet a group of customers and drop stuff off. We met in a parking lot. It was pretty sordid, like a sketchy drug deal. But it's just great to see everybody. I mean, I miss seeing the community and seeing my guys. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, it's sad. I think every day it feels like something else is getting taken away from you. Like me and Doc were saying in our no comic book day video, you know, March Without Madness. We got no baseball going on right now. There's no basketball right now. Heck, WrestleMania is not even going to have a crowd. So and there's no comic books. There's no place to gather and talk about comics. It's really sad that we're all going through this, but we are going through it together, and hopefully we'll all come out on the other side, and we'll have a lot of these shops won't go under, but it's not looking good. So we do have a $5 super chat from Kenneth Dowling. Hey guys, I had trouble finding you the last couple of weeks. Glad to be catching the program. Here's money for support. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Yes, the channel streams have not been in subscriber feeds. It's been very difficult to find these the last few weeks, but it looks like YouTube has finally taken the restraints off of streaming shows. So thank you all for joining us, and I'm sorry that we weren't able to have everyone the last few weeks, but it seems to be working better now.
Thanks a lot, Kenneth.
Yes, absolutely. So Perch, we've done a lot of conversations about what would the collapse of the comic book industry look like, and first and foremost, the number one indicator was always Diamond Comics distribution going out of business because they were a single point of failure. Now, we don't know that they've fully gone out of business, but they're not shipping comics, and they're not making payments right now. What do you think the chances are Diamond doesn't make it?
I mean, it will depend on the length of it. If it goes on for 2-3 months, then for sure, I think Diamond's got some real problems, and I think that their survival becomes very hard to do. Their cash flow was so tight, which a lot of people suspected, but nobody acted on. That it is, if this goes on 2 months or so, then critical operations and cash reserves go away. I think they have much to begin with. So I think they've got some major problems on their end. I think that the big problem here with Diamond and with others is just that there needed to be a backup solution, which we've talked about a dozen times. There needed to be something else, and we didn't get it. They didn't do anything. The publishers didn't do anything to protect themselves. The retailers were screaming about it, but here we are, and it's just not. Unfortunately, it's left the industry in a pretty bad space behind the 8 ball.
Yeah, it's insanity the way that one company, not being able to distribute comics and just put a complete halt to everything. What's your feelings about the Diamond Comics not only not distributing right now, but defaulting on payments, Yule?
Well, the defaulting on payments stinks, obviously. But we've ordered comics that are already getting printed up, and whether they're getting taken to Diamond after they're done, or if it's sitting in the warehouse, those are bills that need to get paid. So that kind of stinks. But as far as them halting distribution, Marvel and DC were dragging their tails. They weren't saying anything. They weren't giving any assurances or promises to comic stores, really. I mean, it even sounded like they were going to actually put digital up until a couple hours before Wednesday popped up. Mm-hmm. And Diamond doing it was a good thing. That aspect of everything I felt was good, because I'm a store, and my store, Fantastic Comics, closed on the 15th, the 16th, something like that. And we haven't even done curbside service or mail order or anything like that. We've just been shut down. I'm taking this thing seriously. I'm not young anymore. Mm-hmm. Who knows how bad this thing really is? And I've been salty on the internet with with Twitter with people, go to your store. They're still offering curbside service. And it's like, what's wrong with you people? Yeah. No offense to anybody still doing it. It's just, I know we all need to make a buck, but so I'm happy that Diamond did that aspect, actually. Marvel
You're
and
right
DC.
about You're right about curbside service. A number of the Facebook groups that I mean, most retailers were not. I mean, it's not trivial to just say, "Oh, we're opening curbside service." And where the shop is usually located, there isn't like a dry. It's not a McDonald's. It's not a
Right.
drive-through option for comics most of the time. And so it's a lot of the. I mean, we've talked about before. The help we were getting from the big publishers was super crappy in terms of where to go, how to pick things up, just setting expectations. If you have expectations, you can plan. But there were no expectations. DC finally came through a little bit, but Marvel in particular, there was just no expectations set on anything.
Oh, I can't believe that ever happened.
Yeah.
I mean,
Not
if
unusual.
if somebody has a folder, I mean, that's perfectly fine. But, you know, I'd say that, like, what, 30-40% of new comics that are sold, I don't know if it's the same in your guys' place, 30-40% of comics that are sold are like, oh, that looks cool, and they pull it off the rack, and, you know, they take it with them. You know, you can't do that with curbside service. So it's just
Well, if you had if it was kind of like a what is it called when you do personalized shopping for someone? If you knew that person, and I know you got your X-Men reader, you know you can throw any X-Men in there that comes out, and they'll be happy. So like that kind of thing. If you really know your customer, you could probably just throw stuff on top of that pile, and they'll be fine with that. But some stranger, I mean, it sounds like a great idea. Just one person coming in at a time. They're actually spending money. You're not dealing with someone that's just a looky-loo or anything like that. It almost feels like a dream sometimes, these kind of scenarios. But
yeah, I mean,
I need quantity.
I mean, yeah, when you're dealing with somebody that sets an appointment, usually when somebody sets an appointment, they're serious at that point. They went through the trouble of actually scheduling, and you've got somebody there to see to their needs, at that particular time. Then usually they'll make it worth your while, but not always, but generally so.
So we do have another super chat from Atomic Hound, $5. Thank you so much for helping support the channel. I know things are tight right now, and we definitely appreciate it. Good to be back with you guys. Could former publisher executives like Dan Didio and Paul Levitz help organize distribution systems that benefit stakeholders? What do you think about that one, Perch?
No, that's a good one. I mean, people forget for a moment what people think about Didio or others. I think one thing that would help right now is just there needs to be some structure. There's a bunch of missing gaps here. And there's a few people, either what we saw with Comic Hub or with other people on a very individual level, who are trying to do little efforts, but there's no widespread leadership. There's no ability for that person to cross boundaries and actually get things set up. So Levitz or Didio or somebody along those lines, I mean, hey, now's the time for Joe Quesada to leave Marvel and say, I'm going to help create this infrastructure, this network. Axel Alonso, where are you? Let's have you try. I mean, I say that in jest a little bit, but Didio would not be a bad person. Levitz would not be a bad person for this. It needs someone. I think someone at that level needs to do something. Yes, and they could do it. So that's a great question, actually.
Give Marvel
it definitely
to Todd
someone
McFarlane.
needs to. What?
Give Marvel to Todd McFarlane.
I don't think he could afford it, but there definitely needs to be somebody to kind of step up and take the bull by the horns, because it feels like it's a rudderless ship on many fronts right now. So, Larry, I know you're still offering your comics via your website, your e-commerce. Have you seen your business go up during all this?
I took my website down last year. I don't even have a website. I have a core group of 300 subscribers. I try to talk to them all weekly, communicate with them, see what they need, and I'm shipping via my customer base, Amazon, and eBay. I'm busier than I've ever been. It's more work to ship Johnny's books than it is for him to come in and pick them up. Right now, you guys got to realize Diamond isn't shipping comic books because they can't ship comic books. Their warehouses are closed by local mandates, and they just can't, and for the sake of their employees, they can't open their warehouses.
Exactly.
Their warehouses ship to a network of stores that are closed or their businesses are decimated. Diamond being closed right now is the best thing for the industry. personally, okay, I've a 35-year inventory. I have a month of no bills, no diamond bills. I can ship stuff online. We can take a breath and see what happens here.
Mm-hmm. So you've seen an uptick, based on everyone just going for back issues. Okay, you haven't.
A backlist, yes.
Yeah. But you're working harder because no one can come into the store, so you're fulfilling your customer needs all through the mail.
I'm working harder, and it seems one-on-one when I talk to other real other shop owners, we seem optimistic. When you go on the forums, it's all doom and gloom. I mean, I think diamonds should be closed right now. There's nowhere to ship this stuff. It's my job to sell comic books to my customers and then take that money to pay Diamond. I'm paid in full. Half of the shops out there talking to people, everybody's in debt. Nobody's paying Diamond. Everybody has to buckle down, do what you have to do, get creative, make some money, and pay your Diamond bill. Diamond's going to pay the publishers, and the publisher's going to pay the creators. I mean, right now, Marvel is canceling 30% of their line. Guys, come on. That's not the worst thing in the world. There's been too many comic books shipping right now. It's a blessing that Marvel is going to cancel 30% of their line. A lot of indie publishers are maybe not going to make it through this and be through Diamond. In my opinion, lately, there's been too many books on the shelf. I mean, it's a welcome purge, I guess. I don't know.
You're taking it as an opportunity.
Yeah, Larry is correct on a number of fronts, I think. And keep in mind, it's a very nuanced issue. There's a lot of different pieces to it. He's absolutely right. And that's one thing people don't get is it's bad that Diamond is closed on one hand, but on the other hand, just logistically, it would be impossible for them to be open. I mean, it's not like people are saying this like Diamond just one day decided to close business. They didn't have a choice. Just like a lot of comic shops that have to close their doors don't have a choice. They're not essential businesses, unfortunately, and so they're forced to close, and that creates this ripple effect that Larry was describing that goes up the line. The people who are going to be hurt by this, the shops that are hurting the most, are the ones that are solely dependent. Whereas I would say 75% of the revenue is coming from new comics, which is a bad plan in general. Oh, sorry, Larry's.
Oh, I think Larry's muted.
Oh, yeah.
He is muted. My bad. There we go. I'm muted. Sorry.
Sorry, Larry. You are muted there.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
I think book model comic shops are in a lot of trouble. But I thought that model of comic shop was in trouble when they started.
Really? That's it's pretty much my model, and I took it over from the store I used to work for in Berkeley a long time ago. Comic
California?
Relief. Yeah, and Comic Relief was around a long time, in the 80s and whatnot. And we had books. I mean, we had a nonfiction section. We had an alternative side to the store. We had books filed under people's names and stuff like that.
Did you purchase his inventory as well as the business?
Hell no. I'll never buy a comic store's inventory. Starting up a store, that's the worst thing I think you can do.
I disagree there, my friend.
You disagree?
100%.
Okay, well,
my philosophy has always been comic shops gotta have comics.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I started with some comics, but you get that first Diamond discount, and I already knew I was going to do books. So, like, I've sold, like, I have numbers here that I took down. I've sold a lot of graphic novels in my time, and they do really well for us. So, starting a store in 2011, I thought I'd take more of my money and actually just buy the stuff I actually wanted in the store, rather than take all this inventory of stuff I've seen in the past, all the art books and all the in-between stuff that isn't Dark Knight Returns or Year One or Watchmen, and I'll put money into Watchmen and Dark Knight Returns in Year One, and those are still the top sellers in the store almost all the time. But that's just how I saw it, because I don't know. Maybe I was too close to that original inventory, but yeah, I don't know. It's just something I didn't want to do. Plus, we're not totally a backstore issue. You know, it's new comic books and graphic novels. Of course, I'm changing locations into a smaller location, so yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe that isn't the way to go anymore.
If I could offer you any advice, it would
Please
be
do.
to diversify. It would be to not have more than 25% of your eggs in one basket.
Mm-hmm.
Start selling back issues. Start some type of community for your shop. Art lessons, art club, gaming.
Yeah, we've done that stuff in the past. It's just not what I'm doing right now. I mean, except for back issues, obviously. I mean, we'd still do that kind of stuff, and we built our product.
In today's market, it's going to be very hard to pay your rent, to pay yourself, to pay your employees with a book model comic shop.
Yeah,
just my opinion.
Good luck. It's going to vary heavily on your audience. I mean, the smart thing that any retailer should do is just get an assessment of who's coming in, what kind of network you have. Because there are shops. I mean, if you look at certain regions and certain areas, you can certainly have a shop that becomes an anchor for new books, and it works. I mean, there is ways for that to happen. But I do agree with Larry. I mean, you have to figure out which direction to diversify. There are many different routes. I've seen some comic shops, and myself included, made the mistake of you get too many going at once. It's more than your ability to juggle them, and that will tip you over too. You have to be able to manage all these different avenues. But in today's climate, and this is not just for comics, this is any retail shop, you should have multiple ways to attack your market and multiple places to get your revenue, because any one little thing that happened, like we're seeing now, can tip the whole thing over.
One thing I can say is that helped me tremendously is don't sell something that you personally dislike, because I have a lot of problems directing people toward products that I don't personally like Pops, stuff like that. I despise Pops. I don't mind other types of statues, but I think Pops are stupid. Other people love them. That's great. But I'm like, $15 for this? You know, it's like this little, big-headed Captain America doll. What the hell? You know, and so I just don't carry them. People have asked about them before, but, it's not really a heavily requested thing. And so I figure that enough stores carry Pops. I don't need to. But
so we do have a super chat from Kenneth Dowling, $10. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. In response to what you guys said about curbside pickup, would a better alternative be having the comics mailed to you? My payment to the shop would include shipping costs. I think right now the shipping it to customers is probably the best method. What do you think about that one, Pele?
I kind of like the curbside thing where they just kind of pull up to the into the parking lot, and and I'm like, my guy goes out there and says, okay, your total is X, blah blah blah, and he just takes the card, brings the book back out. I think that works just fine. We do some shipping on those, free shipping on orders over $50, but it's a situation where you also have that element where you're adding in the shipping, and I've already had one particular situation where the mailer got damaged and I had to replace the books. So, that sucked.
Mm-hmm. Now, for it
adds a point of failure, is what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. So for you said curbside wasn't an option because you don't want to be in contact with anybody, correct?
Yeah, it's it's tough when you see other comic stores doing exactly what you should possibly be doing. But I made the I don't know. We saw a decline in sales throughout the month of February, so it was already hitting really quick. And I felt like everybody that was just coming in the store was just coming in to congregate anyway. And in this environment that we're in these days, I didn't want that. Mm-hmm. So we just chose to close up shop. We're actually in the process of moving locations, and this thing has all hit us, and we're not even actually in the process of moving right now. We're just kind of loading up books every once in a while. So we're not actually we were supposed to be open on April 1st in our new location, And obviously that's not happening anytime soon, at least
Yeah.
till the end of the month. Yeah.
Mhm. So Larry, obviously, you're going hard on the shipping method with your customers.
Well, one of the scrappiest, I think, street smart things that I did was I was overwhelmed last Monday night with getting deliveries to subscribers. The state mandate was coming down Tuesday at noon, and I didn't know if that meant you could be on the street. I didn't quite understand what non-essential businesses were, and I was trying to get all my deliveries done Monday night, and it just wasn't going to happen. And I pulled over to one of my neighbors, a pizza shop, and I paid the delivery guy $5 a delivery to deliver my books to my subs. And I met up with him the next day. He said most of my subs tipped him too. So it worked out great for him. It was cheaper than me to ship, and I got, I looked like a superstar. I got everything out in the same night. So, there are ways. I mean, we're not in an ideal time period, but I think that the industry was in the need for change. I think there's too many comic shops. I think there's too many books on the market, and I don't know. I think we're gonna emerge from this cocoon better.
I don't think there's too many shops personally.
Well,
maybe that's
what I
just
think
because
is that Diamond
I've seen
has
so many of
always-
them die around in my area, but it could be different in a lot of areas. So
in New England, Diamond calls us the red zone. The shops are on top of one another. What I've always thought is the entry point to this business is way too small, and it results in a lot of stores that are, I don't know, less desirable, can we say, and it causes the publishers to have kind of negative feelings towards their retail partners because the lowest looking stores kind of drag down the others, and maybe we're going to emerge from this. I think it's the smaller stores that I think are going to end up stiffing Diamond, the newer stores, the smaller stores. So let's see where this lands. I'm hoping for greener pastures, friends. I don't think that the comic industry is going to go away. I think it's going to change. And
I'm
I
still
think there
just
was some
thinking
changes needed.
I'm still just thinking about pizza guys delivering my comics, and I
Yeah.
kind of want to ask whether or not you can get a work out a combo deal where they bring me my pizza and
means
comics.
to an end, friend. It was. Do I get my subs the books? Can I pay my Diamond bill that week? I mean, it just came to that. I
don't
did
know,
what
but-
I had to do.
No, it's a business.
Brilliant.
I love it.
Can I get that meatball sandwich along with that X-Men 9, please?
Exactly. Work out a deal with Domino's. Have them deliver both.
Sounds great.
Get some Corona beer along with that. You're good.
No.
No.
don't
But-
say that word.
Do you guys think that oh my gosh. All right, so I feel like I've been railing about this in my personal life often. And we're in this like Uber, Caviar, Lyft. Don't leave the house and get something brought to me by Amazon or eBay or whatever. And I have seen a decline in just people going into places to buy things more and more these days.
Of course,
I
but
mean-
why aren't you on Amazon? Why aren't
Well,
you on
I
Why
might
can't
be.
you
I'm
make
just
up for
saying,
the
you know.
lost
But
foot traffic by doing it yourself. You have that product.
But my point is, as a consumer, why am I going to leave the house in the future?
Because you get to see me, Larry Doherty. You get to come into the
Well,
store.
that's
I'm
wonderful.
splendid. People love me. People love you. People love Perch. People
That's
want
right.
to come into the stores. They love community. It's their hangout. People love comic shops. They want to see you. Be confident in yourself.
All right.
That's why they come out of their store. That's why they pay you more. They like to see you. They like to see your smiling face. My guys, I'm beloved. I'm like a sweet baby comic Jesus. You don't get sweet baby comic Jesus on Amazon. That's why. Be
Absolutely.
confident in yourself, buddy.
All right, sweet baby.
People love comic shops. They love you.
Yeah.
So hold on, guys.
Okay.
So thank you very much to Kenneth Allen for supporting the shop or the channel. We do have another super chat from Cliff Elor. Wes, congrats on 5K, well deserved. We're not quite there, but we will be there next week. Perch, I think you're onto something when it comes to appealing to the younger generation. You two keep keeping the heat coming, and thanks to the smart content we need. Well, thank you very much. I think Perch and I try to bring the most level-headed content available on in all of YouTube's as far as comics go, and that goes for Real Comic Stacks and Ash on Comics and some of our other partners as well. But we definitely go a bit against the grain. There's a lot of sensationalism going on right now. We try to have the most level-headed, honest conversations possible.
I really appreciate that, Cliff. It's really nice to hear those comments. And we try, like I said, we're just trying to bring something nice to the industry. So.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry. And you know what? No, Larry was right. I love going into the comic shop. Between not only just the new books, but digging through back issues. I'm sorry, there's nothing. That's a great way to spend time and to find things that you didn't know you wanted, more than scrolling through eBay listings and a website that, oh, well, I need this particular issue and this particular issue. Sometimes it's about just seeing things that pique your interest that you wouldn't otherwise have noticed. Wall books, all that kind of stuff. Seeing these novelty things that you don't see everywhere. That's something that can't be really replaced online.
So I do want to say thank you to Everett Todd for the $2 super chat. If I opened a shop today, I'd copy the Apple Store. What do you think about that one, Perch? You're up there around the Apple territory.
Mostly. I think it's smart. I said before, shops should be thinking at least about experience-driven engagements with people. And a lot of customers coming in, they want to be able to be educated on something. They want to be able to kind of be pointed to somewhere. So I think it's smart. Now, the Apple Store model, of course, requires a lot of capital, and that's the problem. To make it look like an Apple Store, you gotta probably spend a lot of money, but I think comic shops will need to take the opportunity over the next several months or years, ones to survive, to transform their model a bit. And it can't just be, hey, there were some shops that the diamond shipments would come in and they would just leave the boxes they would take the comics out of the box and put it on a counter in a stack and let the customers just kind of figure it out themselves. And that's the laziest possible model. That just is that it doesn't work. You can't just let your customers just root through things and hope to find what they want to find and leave. You got to do a little bit more than that. So this idea of service, the idea of kind of transforming the full box a little bit more, where you're going to have people subscribe, but you're going to be able to point people to other things. You're going to be able to be more of a locator for your shop. There's a lot of different angles, but definitely the part of the Apple Store people should pay attention to is they're trying to provide an experience. So when you go in there, you feel like you're getting more about your purchase. You're seeing and being displayed more, and it's elevating the product up to a level where it's cool, it's good. You feel like you're doing something important when you go in there. And you see Microsoft has copied that model. Lots of people copy that model. Yeah, something like that for sure with comics.
Well, when you're dealing with Apple Store, something like that, you're dealing with this small device costs $1,000, and it's like if you try to do that minimalist type of design where there's a lot of dead space around the product, the problem that you run into is just how much retail space you're going to have just to isolate each different title and make it look like that. So I don't think that's very realistic as far as I think a traditional shop goes. Because you just have so much dead space. You'd have so much, that minimalist, like I said, that minimalist experience, works, I think, for iPhones, but not necessarily for the latest issue of, Captain Marvel or something.
No, you don't copy the minimalist. That's not the part of Apple you copy. It's the experience part of having the products. And if you look at the cases and other things on the wall, they're able to display a large amount of products. Yes, you're absolutely right. You can't just have a big store and then put 8 comics out on a table in the middle of the store and have it be that, because there are a lot more volume of product. But there is an aspect of how Apple engages with people, how you come in. They've kind of taken away the counter and the store owner comes in. A lot of these things don't work one-to-one, but the idea is that Apple's trying to drive an experience. When you go in the store, it's not just point of sale, come in, give cash, leave. There is more of an experience with the shop owner, experience with the product. And that's the part that definitely people should copy.
Yeah.
Great points, Perch. I do want to give away the details of the 5K subscriber giveaway that we're going to do on the channel next Saturday. So there are going to be 3 winners, and of the 3 winners, you're going to receive signed copies of Soul Finder's Demons Match and Black Hop's Hair Trigger from Doug Ernst and Timothy Lim. So one winner is going to be selected from our Thinking Critical Discord server. In there is a channel called the 5K Giveaway channel in the server. In 10 words or less, you're going to explain why you want to win Soul Finder and Black Hops, and then either Tim or Doug are going to pick up the winner from that one. And you have to be a member of the Discord server when the announcement is made on Saturday. On Twitter, we're going to select another winner. With that one, you need to do a hashtag TC5K sub with a link to the channel, and that's going to be in the details of the video once this is all over with. And you must follow, the @West_from_TC on Twitter to be eligible to win that one. And the final person, the final winner to receive copies of Soul Finder Demons Match and Black Hop's Hair Trigger is going to be on YouTube. And on that one, you're going to go into the comment section of this video, Worst Week in Comic Book Industry History, Retailer Summit, and the comment is just going to be hashtag TC5K sub, and you must subscribe to the Thinking Critical YouTube channel to be eligible for that one. And we're going to announce those winners next Saturday. And now there is a catch, and I'm sorry about this, but the winner, the address has to be in the U.S. because this is all coming out of my pocket, and shipping overseas is very expensive. Doug and Tim are actually going to do the shipping for me. I've already talked to them. So you have to have a U.S. address to win these. So if you're overseas and you maybe have somebody in the U.S. that you can ship it to and they'll get it to you, you can do it that way. But you're going to have to give me a U.S. address to win it. And I'm going to have another video explaining all the details. But I wanted to give out the information for the upcoming 5K subscriber giveaway. We're about 100 away from getting there, and we should be there next weekend, hopefully. And I do appreciate everyone for subscribing. If you're on the channel right now and you're not subscribed, subscribe so you can be eligible for the giveaway. And definitely give us a thumbs up. We're having a great discussion here about the comic book industry. Now, Larry, I did want to talk to you about the Comic Hub temporary solution that was up for about, was it 36 hours, 48 hours before it kind of all fell apart?
Yeah.
What did you think about that idea?
Well, I was surprised. I'm very familiar with Comic Hub. Years ago, at a Baltimore Comic-Con, I found myself out at a bar late night with Stu, and he was telling me about what he was building, and it just sounded fantastic. Diamond has led retailers on for years about, they were doing a Comicology app for retailers, and it's just never quite got off the ground. Stu was going to get it going. I was pretty excited, and when he launched it, I took a good look at it, but it just wasn't for me. It seemed a little bit labor intensive, and there are a couple main kinks in it that it just didn't work with my store. Example, if you're on the Comic Hub, you can select me as a customer, and on Wednesday morning, you could buy Nightwing and pay for it, and then arrive at my store and expect it. And, like the latest issue of Nightwing was the hottest book in the world. It's not going to be there, and it's just going to cause problems for me. So I figured I was going to do Comics Hub when, stuff got rolling a little bit better. And then this week, all that news hit. And what I thought was really strange was in their press release, they were intimating that all the publishers were on board. And I'd been speaking to publishers the week before, nobody had mentioned anything, and I was just really suspect of the entire thing. It turned out to be, not true.
Yeah, they definitely overextended themselves. The comment of the publishers are getting on board, I'm not sure if any publishers got on board, and I suspect in being the most charitable, that an email was sent to some contact of the publishers, and the publisher said, maybe we'll consider that, and they took that as sold, it's go, and that was a
I had publishers reach out to me and ask me, because I'd be a bit of a loudmouth, to get it out there that fuck no, this is not happening. They didn't want to say that way, but they wanted to get it released in some form of manner that they had no idea that this was happening.
Yeah, I had the same comment from DC and some others that this was not they were not supporting this. This was a statement. It looked like something that what I got written looked like something had been sent to a number of different people. It was like this almost form email of this is not being supported. So
No, that being said,
yeah,
if Stu could get the mechanics of this going and stores want to sell codes day and date, I have no problem with that. I mean, let them sell digital codes to their customers. But the publishers I deal with have told me that, you know, they'd be releasing digital the same day as the physical copies that I've already ordered thousands and thousands of dollars with. And I expect them to keep their word to me. There's no contract, but all publishers currently have told me, Larry, when you're ordering thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of paper books through the Diamond catalog, we're going to release digital the same day as those. Don't change it up, or let me adjust the orders for what I have. I don't think that if you release digital before print, it's going to affect all of the books. Where I think it's going to affect books is on the bottom rung. When people see the more eyes on a product means people get to see what the product is. On all the weak material, and there's a shitload of weak material out there right now. When people see crap, they're not going to show up for the physical copy. It's going to kill the lower end. It's not going to kill Batman 92. People are going to read that content, and it's great. They're all going to want to possess it. They're going to want the comic, the trade, the hardcover, the variants. It's not going to affect the top selling product. It's going to affect their bottom selling product. They're going to end up cutting off their own face.
Larry's absolutely right. I agree. People who are worried about this cannibalizing business are mistaken. It's not. It absolutely will impact the bottom tier, which are getting impacted anyway. In fact, if anything, I would argue there's a long shot chance that if they do digital and they're able to get the price in line to the bottom tier, it might bring more readers to the table who otherwise, are in these new markets that they're trying to go after and failing right now. So I think people who constantly worry about this are.
I've been saying for years that digital has the potential to be the spinner rack of the new generation.
Yeah.
They should make it cheap. They should advertise the shit out of it. They should get everybody reading it, but I don't want digital out there before my print copies. That's all.
Yeah.
Get it out there, make it cheaper, let people peruse it. People are going to find something they like. When they find something they like, they're going to want to buy it. And, that's when we'll get them.
No, you're right. And I think people need to lighten up a little bit. I do think it has potential to do more marketing. They do need to adjust the price a bit. But the where this gets hung up is too many people get into I don't like digital. I would never read digital. That's cool. You don't have to. This isn't about personal preference. It's about marketing. It's about blanketing those comics in more places. And that's what we do need.
More eyes on comics is a good thing.
It is. Yeah.
And just so happens, one of the biggest telecommunications companies in the world, AT&T, owns DC. So maybe if they can, on that little suite when you get the phone, maybe that DC digital thing is there with some free.
It'll never happen. They can't even get a visit your local comic shop at the end of the Avengers movie. It's never going to happen.
It's crazy how they don't. There's no synergy.
Each other.
Mm-hmm. But I do want to say thank you very much to Kenneth Gowling for the $10 super chat. I don't want to get political in regards to comic shops. Will they receive aid from the $2 trillion stimulus plan? It was created to stimulate the economy. I feel like comic shops should benefit. Haley, you and I, we did talk about this as far as comic shop survival. You want to give some basics, and it sounds like Yule has a personal story about it.
Yeah. It does have provisions in there that can benefit comic shops. If you feel that you need to take advantage of this stimulus plan, then definitely apply. There's the websites they've been talking about everywhere, and apply for the loans, quote unquote loans. And it sounds like a good way to be able to keep your employees on staff. At least for the interim. Because those loans are forgiven as long as you're using that money towards personnel in certain categories. So to me it's a definite plus as long as as long as you fit within the categories there, it's it's going to be a good thing, in my opinion. I don't know of anybody. Nobody's seen the checks come out yet, so but in my opinion, I think it could be a benefit.
So you said you actually you applied for some of the stimulus money already.
Yeah, my business partner, my brother who runs the store with me, he does all that junk. So if there's any tax problems, go to him, not me. But he's been applying. There's loans for small business with less than 500 employees, so you can qualify for that. The state has been doing stuff for us, or I guess recently. So we've applied for those, and even the city of Berkeley has a small or a business loan for people, and we've applied for those also. Assuming that you're not going to get all of them or a lot. So if I can get money from different areas, it might help us out in this time. And it's not really much more than that, but I have done that.
Mm-hmm. So is anybody else going to be looking for some support from the stimulus bill?
Yeah, I'm going to purchase a shop. So breaking news: I'm going to purchase a shop here and just buy in. So we got a guy who's on death's door, and I'm going to go into the market again that way. I love the laughter over there. Yes, I'm with you. But like I've been saying, I've got some other things I want to do in that shop, so I'm going to get that done. But I'm filling out the forms for the aid to both help with the purchase and also get that in. It's not strictly supposed to be used to make acquisitions, but because I've continued to sell books, it's a way that we can help somebody else out and get a shop back open and provide a shortcut to what I've been trying to do for months now. So it's a way forward.
Mm-hmm. And what did you have to say, Larry?
About 20 years ago, my store was destroyed by flood, and I applied for a FEMA disaster loan, which I got, and it was the hardest money I ever borrowed and paid back. They're tough loans, man. And in good luck to you all with all these businesses applying for grants and funds and loans. I think they're going to see the comic book business is very, low tier.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. I mean, who cares, right?
Yeah, I
mean, in the big world, who cares about a comic store, really? But as far as like getting money from the from this whole thing, I think if it can get you through, and I mean, how long is it going to be before? I mean, this is my question to everybody. When do you think a new comic book is actually going to come out?
May 1st.
Every store can sell it. May 1st, really.
I would go mid-June.
I was thinking June 1st.
Yeah. I don't think my store is going to be open after May.
The announcement,
and we're doing good in California.
The announcement that was made was mid-May, late May. So
yeah, it's going to change. Unfortunately, there's several of the bits of the operation that have to get things published and printed and moved on. They're not going to loosen up those requirements. I mean, Washington extended by 30 days. Almost everyone is. This thing is going to be full force by mid to late April, and nobody's going to say 2 weeks later with May it's going to be open. That's unfortunate.
Which state are you purchasing a store in?
Washington.
Nice.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I do want to say thank you very much to Kenneth Dowling for the support. I hope you appreciated that. And then thank you very much to Robert Willig. If you haven't subscribed to his YouTube channel, he's got a lot of great content. Right now, I think he's running down everything about Deathstroke. He's been going in depth about that character. Thank you very much for the $5.99 super chat. I think pros and Comicsgate are expecting extreme results. Either things will stay the same, being the pros' point of view, or things will collapse and the indies will take over the Comicsgate point of view. Well, I take neither. I'm in the middle. I think that the comic industry will survive, but it's going to be greatly evolved. We're talking like 5 to 10 years of market evolution condensed into a small time frame. We're probably going to lose some publishers and shops in the meantime, and we will probably have a sleeker industry moving forward. Larry, what are your thoughts on the pros saying everything's fine, and then you have some of the naysayers saying the sky is falling right now?
The sky is fallen. The sky's fallen through the ground and crashed to hell. I mean, there's never been anything like this in our lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
However, the basic structure of the comic book industry is still intact. Diamond has 2 weeks worth of books in their warehouse. They're trying to get paid from their retail network, which I think has been too large and too unprofessional. They've been shipping too many books. You literally can't shelf every single comic that ships. There's too many books on the market right now. The market needed a thinning. Marvel cutting its line by 30% is a godsend. I mean, we're going to emerge out of this just fine. Things might be different. Maybe it won't be Diamond. Marvel and DC will be shipping through somebody, and you can pick which indie books, you want to represent. You can't represent them all. I love the whole direct-to-consumer micro-distribution network on Indiegogo and Kickstarter. Young creators can build an audience for their books. Then maybe we'll want them in the comic shops. I mean, at certain points, it's a struggle to carry indies when there's just if you're not interested in championing a book, sometimes there's no customers for that book. I mean,
well, there's no marketing out there. There's no awareness.
It's going to be just fine.
Yeah, it's some people look. I think Robert, the extreme views and the blanket views are both wrong. You cannot. Not everything is going to survive. Some things will. Some things will change. It is going to force evolution to happen faster. But it's not like you're going to wake up tomorrow and suddenly everybody's attitude has changed. That they're going to be people who are going to be humble and nice. No, the people who are jerks before this are going to be the people who are going to be jerks after this. That's not going to change. You are going to have things survive. Comics will be published again. You will have them in your hands. You will get to see, the adventures of the new warriors. All these things are still going to happen, just at a different pace. That's unfortunately what we got.
I feel
creators.
Okay.
Creators online being nasty really hasn't trickled down to the retail level. I mean, I've never had anybody come in.
God,
and say,
I don't think that's
Slot
the case.
was mean to me online, and I didn't buy a book. I see the outrage online. I just haven't seen it at the retail level.
It hasn't impacted the numbers significantly broadly. If you aggregate them up, you cannot trace a creator was a crazy person and look, the sales dropped at that moment. You see sales dropping for other reasons, the lack of interest in the book, the Batman wedding goes wrong and it doesn't happen, and readers feel bait and switched, and an artist changed and the sales go down. But you can't say, aha, here's where some creator did a tweet and now here's where the sales tanked. It's just because Twitter is a tiny microcosm of customers. It's tiny percentage-wise.
You say that, but then I've had customers come in and say, I'm tired of this guy being a jerk, and he blocked me on Twitter.
That's
Take my
cool.
name off the list.
You're definitely going to have those kind of individual cases, but in aggregate, into the broader sales, there's no evidence that these comments impact lower sales. It's just there's the opposite. You see some of the biggest people. I mean, people are going hard at Donny Cates, and you see his and he makes comments that are pretty bad. There are lots of videos, everything else, and then he launched his new title. Sales are up. It's just Twitter is a tiny microcosm. Does that mean that you don't have customers that come into your shop and say, I got mad over what this person said, or this person's a jerk, I don't want their comic anymore? Absolutely, that will happen on individual levels, but not from a big scale. I mean, just the numbers don't support it.
As a customer, the only thing I'll say on this is I don't bother telling my store that that's the reason why I'm dropping a book. I just merely drop that book.
Sure.
I'm not interested anymore.
Sure, definitely. Happens all the time. I doubt, I think it's, unless you have a really good relationship with that shop owner, you're not going to sit there and talk about what you read on Twitter with them. In most cases, you're going to buy, or in your case, not buy and get out. The point I'm making is, if you just look at the sales month to month, year to year, you do not see a direct correlation between somebody being a crazy person and a bad comic. When Dan Slott was making a lot of comments that got everybody mad and was blocking people and everybody else, Sales on Spider-Man in many cases were just fine. He goes on Iron Man and puts in a poor effort, and sales go down. Big shock. That's the way the normal world works.
Well, that plus the fact that, look,
it's Iron Man.
Dan Slott can be. Well, no.
Kelly
you can literally
being an asshole on Twitter never translated to sales because she never sold any books anyway.
Right.
Exactly.
A lot of these vocal dinks on Twitter have absolutely no audience. So
yeah,
they're irrelevant.
And it doesn't matter who the hell you put on Amazing Spider-Man, it's going to sell 55 to 60,000 copies.
Dan Slott's Amazing
Spider-Man
that's took a tank when his storyline started to tank.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
He had a two year run where he was just Trump, the Orange Man bad on Twitter, and he wasn't writing Spider-Man. His books sucked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so it will sell up to or down to the level of either the bare minimum on that particular title or that particular creator.
Sure. And I think just people have to realize for just that and there's it's not just comics, it's everything. Twitter, the audience of people on Twitter that represent real life things, whether it's movies or shows or books or comics or products or whatever it happens to be, it's a tiny fraction of the audience. It sounds like a big fraction, but less than 8% of the people on Twitter are making up the majority of the tweets anyway. This is just, it creates an echo chamber. And by the way, some people will definitely be pissed off at me later saying I'm defending bad pro behavior. Absolutely not. It's stupid behavior. It catches up with them. They lose commissions. Some of the interviews I've done, you hear this all the time, is if you act like a jerk, it does come back and hit you in the wallet at some point as a creator. Absolutely, it's true. But to say that you make a bad tweet and suddenly people are going to boycott your comic and the sales are going to tank, there's no evidence that's actually true.
I just don't agree with that. But
you can't prove it. You can't show me.
I can prove it, but I can. When Tom King was being a complete butthole on Batman, when he was in the middle of his run, the more he was a butthole, the more the subs at the shop dropped, and people were like, I just can't support this guy anymore. He's a dick. And we're talking about a 40% drop over the span between Batman 50 and Batman 75. It just went straight into the ground.
Batman numbers tanked because Tom King's run sucked.
It
was unreadable.
But it sucked already.
That's why it tanked.
Correct.
But it sucked already.
You cannot say it's his tweets. There's no point where you can say the tweet equals this. You're reaching.
I can. You don't agree with it, but I can.
No, you can say it for your store. You cannot say it for the market.
Correct.
That's the point.
That's what I'm saying.
Yes, correct. I'm saying from the market in aggregate with the numbers, there's no direct correlation that you can make. Now, for your store, sure. And that's what I'm saying. Individual people, absolutely. But from an aggregate of sales, you just can't make that. Nobody can make that case. I wish they could. To be clear, I absolutely wish they could, because then perhaps there'd be some rules being enforced at the publisher level. That would be great. But until that it hits them in the wallet, it's not going to happen.
All right, so we do have a super chat from SSJ Future Gohan, aka Josh on the channel, 999. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I got an email from Lone Star Comics in regards to my subscription list, and they said Diamond told them to expect all items from the previously shipped, but a delayed schedule. Here's hoping. I do think you will get those comics. Will you get them from Diamond? That's the part I'm actually pretty suspect about. But I do think all the comics that were printed out and we're ready for distribution, you will receive those eventually. Whether it's Diamond is still there doing it in the end, I think is a good question. We also have another super chat.
With their shops closed. I mean, fans want them, but you got to understand that the distribution network's broken. There's shops aren't available to get you your books, and the distributor doesn't have employees. I mean, it's as simple as that, guys. You can't. The books will come when this stuff clears up. There's 2 weeks worth of books in the pipeline. Once Diamond can legally have employees in the warehouse, and if they can pay them, and if comic shops are open, books will come.
And if Geppi wants to, right? Is that possibly a thing? I mean, I could imagine being an old guy.
Of course he wants to.
Does he?
Steve Geppi's a great guy. who has kept this business together for 30 years.
Retailers and fans and pros shit all over Diamond all the time. I mean, it's a thankless job. I hate
it. It is
them.
a thankless job. There's a new generation of retailer that's all they do. I mean, Diamond's imperfect, but retailers are imperfect. They've been my primary distributor for 30 years. Mm-hmm. I got married, bought a house, had a family, made a living from Diamond. Diamond's been great to me.
See, that's Diamond's the reason I went to back issues, is because how crappy they've been. You know, I just can't deal with them anymore. They got to be such an incredible pain in the ass. So
the one thing about Diamond,
I went away from actually focusing on new issues to back issues because of Diamond.
The one thing about Diamond and their staff is that they get their staff picked from them all the time from all the other Memphis hubs that are out there, like Amazon and stuff like that. So imagine, your ground level, you're learning your profession at a warehouse, and then Amazon says, "Hey, I'll give you more money." And then Diamond has to start all over again.
Diamond has growing pains. They got a little bit too big. They became impersonable. They had, lesser quality help because of that. Maybe this purge, like I've said, I think there's 500 people who don't deserve a Diamond account right now. And that's an unpopular opinion. Everybody says we need more retail outlets. We need more retail outlets with people who are committed, like Perch. Perch is buying a shop, and I have no doubt that he's going to put the time commitment and he's going to run it correctly. People with $500, a wink and a smile, to get a Diamond account, rent a shithole, all right, be in there eating pizza with their buddies and just drag the whole industry down to cesspool.
It's true.
Things need to change.
Look, I desperately wish Diamond could improve. By the way, I want to say, because Wes walked away for a minute, Deadshot Dookie, thank you very much for the super chat. Saw that come in, and you didn't even ask a question. So you got to ask a question in here. We got to answer. But thank you very much for funding the channel. I'm sure Wes will thank you again later. But look, I think I would love for there to be a better solution than Diamond, but somebody's got to step up and provide it. It's like, you can complain about Diamond. I've complained about Diamond plenty. They do have logistical issues. There's, they're trying to get things returned. There's a mess. You get something in bad shape, and it's just a nightmare. Like Larry said, there's a lot of people who have entered that company who just are not, I think, capable of doing the job they're doing. And on the other end, there's a lot of retailers that should not be retailers. They got into this because comic books seemed like fun and they had no business sense. All that stuff is true, but nobody is stepping up to fix this problem. And when I did some people who are nice in the industry, and I mentioned Geppi, I know people were pissed about that pick, and I get it. I get why. But it's literally if somebody better doesn't come along, this is what we've got. And if you want comics to read, this is what we've got. Please, somebody better come along. Nobody is stopping you. but right now, we need an improvement.
The damage, the sheer damaged product, I think, is what the sheer volume of damaged product coming in is what really got me. 50% damage, 60% damage. Get the one of the things that cemented it for me was the 1 in 100, 1 in 250 type of incentive covers, the stuff that's like the really big money, and they'd have it in a separate box with a statue. I happened to order a statue, and that no protection whatsoever on these rare incentive covers, and the statue just smashed all of them.
Box with the statue.
Or it's like one of those like this situation, and you have the cardboard up here pushing it up.
Well, and it's destroyed. I can't sell that now. That's the issue that I was going to try to make some of my money back from ordering so many copies.
Right.
And it's done. It's over.
And you might get a replacement a week later, but who cares then?
There's no replacement on the incentives.
Is also bogged down with the mail order account, the new Diamond account, who are the 9/8 guys, who they just sell online, and one spine tick, they can't sell it, and they're smashing the corners, and Diamond's system has just been overrun with these a-holes who are culling the cases and calling everything in as damages. They have some problems too.
That could be the case, but month on month, week after week, getting damaged product in, and when I try to get replacements, it's like, we're sold out. we're sold out. So
Well,
I've got to go to I've got to go to Midtown then, and I've got
It's
to
an
actually go
imperfect
out of my
system.
pocket. I've got to order out of my pocket then from Midtown just to fill orders, and bang, I'm losing money. Immediately losing money at that
This
point.
is the kind of the opposite of what Larry pointed out earlier, that if there's about 500 retailers that don't deserve to have a Diamond account, there's about 500 Diamond accounts that Diamond doesn't deserve because they do such a poor job of handling their customers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if
I agree.
If I could go with Midtown, even at a slightly higher, paying a slightly higher amount, I would do it because of how incredibly well that they've handled as far as condition on comics. So, and if it reaches that point in the future, then I'll just do it that way because it's gotten to be such a hassle as far as damaged product.
That sucks.
Like one time,
Can I ask you a question? Do you receive your product UPS?
I do.
Yeah, it always
Yeah.
comes by UPS.
In
I've
New
gotten
England,
a couple
Northwest,
instances.
we have
A couple
we
instances
receive it
we've
direct
gotten
from the
FedEx
Plattsburgh warehouse.
whenever UPS was having their problem with their shipping strike, but it's always UPS.
which is some of the problem.
That's
Yeah.
huge.
But-
Every one of those guys will smash a corner on your box. So
Okay,
But-
yeah, that's the thing, because
thank you very much for having me on the show, guys. I got to roll.
Okay,
I
dude.
gotta hustle. Got to keep hustling. Got to try
Thank
to
you,
pay
Larry.
a bill. And it was
Take
a
care,
pleasure
Larry.
to be on with you guys.
Nice meeting you,
Okay?
Larry.
Thank you.
Take
Bye.
it easy.
Definitely
care, man.
appreciate it, and we'll have you back. I really appreciate your time.
I don't know, I'm
Awesome.
waving here with my icon up, but good to see you, Larry.
Larry,
You're waving at him. It's great.
Larry does have a good point. UPS, they really don't care. I mean,
Oh, of course, yeah.
they're Teamsters. It's basically impossible to fire them. And
my driver is pretty awesome. I always get him a Christmas present because he
it's
won't
not the
go out of
drivers,
his
though.
way, but it's not the drivers.
No, it's
No. It's not the drivers.
it's the warehouse people.
Yeah.
yeah.
My roommate was my one buddy was worked for UPS for like 4 years before he went back to being doing sheet metal work. And he said there was a lot of time. Some of the drivers load their own trucks, but most of the time it's the guys in the warehouse that they don't give a shit.
I worked at a UPS 1 month for Christmas, and I remember there was this big ass TV, and it was shattered. That was before it got to us, and I was like, you could hear the glass. It was so sad. Oh man! One time I got glass. Speaking of glass, I one time got glass in a free comic book day box of bags. You're reaching in to get the bags, and there's broken glass in there. That was probably the worst Diamond experience I had.
Yeah, I think I mean it is a tough situation because, like anything, there's a lot of nuance to it, and I think a lot of people, retailers, probably the publishers as well, would love to see a better solution than Diamond come along. The problem is there hasn't been enough money in this business for anyone to say, yeah, I want in on that. I'd like to lose money for 20 years getting this thing set up and have everybody crap on me. Yeah, that sounds great. Nobody is stepping up to provide that service. And to me, and this is just my own personal perspective, everybody has different ones. A big part of the problem here is less Diamond and more the publishers. And I say this from the standpoint of, and in particular, the big two, and in particular, Marvel. I'll just be very specific.
Oh no, Marvel!
No, because there is an aspect of we're the big kids on the block. We get to do it our way, and everybody else conforms. And unfortunately, if you're a very big fish in a small pond with that attitude, it doesn't incent anyone to really make any kind of change. And so when people online are talking about what Dan Slott did or various other things, I mean, sure, that's nice, but to me, that's a way down the chain of problems. The problems are much higher up. And no, I'm also not talking about Sana Amanat in some interview she gave. I'm talking about, like I mentioned on a show a couple weeks ago, this guy Ira, who did their digital distribution, was trying to milk out $100,000 from every single person who wanted to vend digital comics. Okay, if you're doing that as a startup fee, if you're doing that, then yeah, of course, digital comics are going to be the same cover price, and nothing good's going to happen from that. That's too much money. But the attitude was, well, we're Marvel, you got to play ball with us, so pay your way in. And as long as you have that attitude, the industry is trapped in this holding pattern because nobody good can come in and really deal with it. Nobody's going to want to, on the big level, is going to want to come in and submit to a Marvel or a DC. So you're stuck. And that's the problem with the industry. You got to push those things forward, but it is definitely a challenge that we've got.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I was talking about earlier. I know that Wes kind of made a joke about it, but you get somebody like McFarlane who, for some reason, he's always been able, as far as Image is concerned, to get things right. And from a publisher standpoint, from a personality standpoint, public relations, all that kind of stuff, he's almost like the Teflon guy. And if somebody like that were to get into power, to get into a position of power in Marvel, I think that we would see benefits from that would go well into several decades into the future. He is somebody with that type of charisma, with that type of influence, on the industry as a whole. I think that that would fix a lot of Marvel's problems off the bat.
Yeah, I mean, it needs some new. I mean, the companies need some leadership where, and it is at the leadership level in kind of the corporate offices, the people who are not the figureheads. A lot of us make fun of and go after, but the people who are actually making some of the logistical decisions, they need to figure out a new plan for the future and stop kind of taking a check and being asleep at the wheel and just letting this 30-year-old system just kind of float along. David Gabriel should have been on this, pushing for, evolving the system, owning it, having some greed about this, the idea of like, let's get Marvel to do something significantly better to take on the market, as opposed to let's just keep living with this, this 25-plus-year-old Diamond system and pump out variant covers and just squeeze every bit of blood from this stone. They're not evolving. You don't have a Steve Jobs of comics wanting to come in and just radically transform the industry and gain market share as a result. It's more just, what's the minimal amount I can do to work within the current system? That's the problem.
That is the problem.
Sorry.
I feel that Diamond. All right, so the one thing I would suggest Diamond has to do is they have to fight for the stores more. There was that ICV2 article, Coliseum Comics, I think it is, where he wrote about how we're still working over on a 40-year contract or something with the comic book companies, and things have to change there. And not only that, but Diamond has to stand up and say, look, your publishers can't do some of the things you're doing. If there are too many comics on the shelf, I'm going to suggest more than that, it's that there's 2 a month all the time, and there's not enough time for people to digest the things that came out. They're already buying extra stuff. It piles up. We all have piles of comics that we have to read, but Marvel just keeps putting out more. Batman keeps coming out twice a month. Unless Bendis goes on Superman, it's only monthly then. But before that, during Rebirth, it was twice a month. And it's even if it's the best, even if every single comic book was perfect for everybody, I mean, just somehow magically everybody loves it, you still wouldn't buy every single one, know?
Yeah, you've got a great point there.
So Diamond's got to really say no more of this, because
I agree.
If they don't do that, then we're gonna be back in the same situation, except I'm only gonna order what people specifically ask, or like was suggested, something I specifically like personally.
Yeah, that's I mean, you look at it from the point of view that there are just certain, and I kick some dirt, I guess, into some of the creators' faces, but I just don't carry their books anymore. If somebody's on a title, I just don't carry it. Because it's not going to sell. It's trash. The customer's going to look at it and roll their eyes anyway. Unless somebody specifically says, I want this book by, I want the next Goddess Mode. Could you get me the next issue of Goddess Mode? Okay, fine, I'll order you a copy of it. But I'm not going to go out of my way to stock it. And I do that with a lot of titles, and it works. So
Well, I think I'm going to go personally when we finally reopen some year. I'm only going heavy number ones because the thing I've found is that if a book is coming out by the 19th issue, you know who wants to buy that usually. But a number one on the 19th issue has a way better chance of selling than 2 through 18. So I'm okay with sitting on number ones now. And it's not even like a speculation thing. It's just I know that I could sell this comic book to someone and it might get them interested in the eventual collection or getting them on a subscription for it or whatever. And I think that's how I'm going to really go forward with all comic books, you know. And if it's a smaller company like Scout or Oni or Black Mask, if they ever put stuff out, I might get 1 or 2 or just tell the person I know who likes that kind of stuff that it's coming out. Do you want it? And, you know, that's just the way it's going to be, I think, going forward. This is going to, if Marvel keeps putting out 2 a month, I'm not going to carry them that much.
Yeah. When
you know, personally,
about,
I'm sick of it.
Oh, I'm
sick of ordering it.
Chat here.
So yeah, we do have a super chat from Josh, $4.99. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. I am so sick of hearing this "let it die" rhetoric. Don't let this industry die. I hope they know there's no replacement to Main Street comics. I'm with you. I'm pretty pretty tired of hearing this. Oh, this coronavirus thing is the best thing ever because now the comic industry can die. That's what we all needed. Get out of here with that noise.
Why would you even care about comics then?
They don't care about comics. They
Yeah.
they care about the politics, you know, that circulates around comics. And that's sad.
And
they're here for the outlet. They're not here for the medium.
Yeah, the cults of personality and the drama. They're not interested in the drama that's in the comics. They're more interested in the drama surrounding it.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there is a philosophy I can get behind, you know, burning, you know, raising the ground so that we can pick up, you know, where we, you know, it's a clean battlefield, you know. But who's going to step in? I mean, if like we say, Diamond, you know, I personally am not sure what Diamond's going to do. I just don't know if, I mean, I don't talk to Geppi, so I have no concept, but is he, I mean, I could really see Diamond just saying,
yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, he's fade out at some point. I don't think that, I mean, the Sun arguably could take over the business, but I do think it depends. I mean, how much cash reserve do they have? Is this moment purely because they didn't have incoming, so they didn't want outgoing, which that's true, but how much reserve actually exists there? It was ominous how quickly they furloughed people. That was very, very fast. So I don't know, but yeah, I mean, let it die, people. I mean, go screw yourself. It's enough of this. It is. You guys are idiots. Be you know, go back to being tough guy Fight Club down in your mom's basement. And deal with this. The comics have to die. You're not impressing anybody. You're not a internet tough guy with that stuff. Just stop. It's if you don't like the comics, stop spending the money. It's your control. I mean, these people seem like the biggest pussies in the world that they're like, I can't help but give Marvel their money. I'm so pissed at them, but the money just keeps coming out of my wallet whatsoever. I'm a collector. I can't break my run. Oh, come on. Just don't be an idiot. Just don't buy comics you don't like and stop bothering the rest of us with this bullshit.
Or if you don't buy comics, period, and you're just here to store up drama, go somewhere else and do it with something that you actually enjoy. Because you're just wasting your time. You're wasting your emotion. You're wasting on your efforts on something you don't like anyway.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. You're putting more energy into it than the people who are actually reading the comics. I mean, isn't there a Funimation group you can go be yell at? Do that. I mean, God, these people are annoying. It's like getting a root canal where the dentist talks about banging your mom. It's annoying. Stop.
Go,
my mom.
Go bitch about Star Wars some more. Nobody cares.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know. You know, there is an aspect of comics that lends arguments, and I said on Peter's show, Peter Samedi, that, you know, I remember older guys than me arguing about the Justice League being a funny book in the 90s, you know, and you know, these were the chats that would happen that weren't, you know, that were in front of each other. And I like these conversations. I remember a woman in front of me at a comic store. I know this is way back when, and it still happened, but she was buying these comics, and I'm listening to the conversation, and this guy's like, "You're not getting Doom Patrol anymore?" And she's all, "No, the story sucks, and so does the art." and I have Doom Patrol in my hand, and it's like the Grant Morrison stuff, you know. And I personally think it's great. But I was, you know, in my Vertigo days, you know. But it's just so funny, you know. You hear the conversation in front of you, and then you're holding it, and oh man, I like those arguments. I miss those. I enjoy, you know, getting into the weeds when it's comic book talk. Personally,
we have a little person that comes into the shop. He literally almost comes up to my knee, the top of my knee. Sweet guy, really, really nice guy. And he's got his set particular comics that he loves. And one of them's Teen Titans, and somebody was talking about how much Teen Titans sucks. And this guy was railing on at the front counter about how much Teen Titans sucks. And way down, you know, and I mean, just completely below counter level, you heard this voice pipe up from down below. He said, "Fuck you! I want to keep buying my Teen Titans. It's none of your business." And I was like, dude, you get them, buddy. And I was looking at but yeah, people are very tribal about their comics, and there's particular comics that they absolutely love, and they don't want to hear somebody trash them. Well, and you know, I'm fine with that, because that shows a degree of passion on the part of the fans. But he's not afraid of anybody. You know, I'd say he'd probably gnaw somebody's ankle if they decided they were going to trash his comics. But
I couldn't agree with you more there. Yes, I love the discourse. I like arguing about comics, why I think something sucks, and maybe somebody thinks it's great. I'm talking about the people that are just there to stir up trash and be like, "Oh, just let it die." If you love comics, you wouldn't think that to begin with. You would think, "How are we going to make it through this?"
Yeah, because you know, I know I've said this and I sound like a broken record on it. The let it die people don't understand that the only reason that the comic industry can exist is, you know, I've said it before and I'll say it again. Other people can't fail their way into you being successful. If the big companies start failing, that's fine. They pull the entire market down with them. There's no indie company to save it. There's more space for us. No, everybody just leaves then. You're selling to nobody at that point.
Yeah. Yep. No, and there's problems. I mean, so yes, I love those arguments. You know, who's stronger, Superman or Silver Surfer? That's the one. For whatever reason, that was the one that people were obsessed about for years. I have no idea why. It's not a very good argument, but it is. Those fights were good fights, and I do miss those, because the current fight of what title is Wokest Award of the Month is just not an interesting conversation for the 500th time. I mean, you tire quickly of that. But I mean, as some people are saying in the chat, there is a problem in comics in that you don't have really clear content that kids can enjoy or younger audiences can. What's the superhero role model? You know, in the world of a lot of writers are trying to, let's deconstruct Superman and Batman, and let's figure out how sad we can make Batman or this kind of stuff. It just, that's not, you don't have those content. And I've been doing these videos where I bring my daughters in to do comics. What's telling is this, I promise this is not anything I'm leading them to do. They gravitate hard to manga, and I cannot get them interested in US comics to save my life. I will put things in front of them, and it's just like, they clown on them. And at like age 6 and 9, they clown on Captain Marvel in a completely different way than most people on Twitter do. Just, this is not interesting. I will read One Piece, I will read My Hero Academia. And to me, the worrisome part as a comic retailer is the new generation coming up is all going Dragon Ball Z, just these titles. They're not going, no kids are like, man, I can't wait to read the Avengers right now. And the fact that you've got these major movies out and you don't have that influx of comics, people are going the other direction to manga, that's a gigantic warning sign for the industry. So
maybe Marvel and DC going down wouldn't be that big a deal, maybe in the future.
It's going to have less and less of an impact. I mean, the part that will be, unfortunately, I can play out this. What will happen is a lot of Marvel's power starts to shrink as their core audience, especially the Disney audience, starts to go in another direction. Disney reacting to that will just, buy Shonen Jump, and then we go in a circle again. But But it's weird. I tell you, I do not when I do those things, and it's clear from the videos because my daughters take complete control over the video, and I lose all control in that. There's no leading them to try and say, you know, what do you like here and there, but they steer very hard to one piece of the content. And you talk to kids, and it's definitely it's consistent.
Yeah, One Piece still sells well for me.
Yeah.
You know, now that they're bringing back like Ranma 1/2 and things like that, there's a whole new audience that's ready to go with that. Those books. It
is, and it's. I mean, My Hero Academia. When I did the interview with Brett Booth, I mean, he's making this is a guy, so comic industry guy who's been for whatever 30 plus years of a career. And he's like, I can't wait to read My Hero Academia. That book is like filled with emotion and action, and you know, I tear up at some of the amazing action scenes. This is a U.S. comic artist who's written drawn some of the biggest stories, and they're like, yeah, I get excited with My Hero Academia like that. Come on, that's a sign.
Mm-hmm. And there's so few comics you could even really share with your kids right now, let alone ones that are directly made for them, but. A lot of the stuff there's a lot of swearing. There's a lot of innuendo, insinuation, a lot of stories nowadays. It's like, why is this even in here? It doesn't add anything to the story, but you know, you can't really share it with your children.
Dude, I finally felt old when a few months ago, a issue of Mad magazine had shit in it. I'm like, what? Shit in Mad? I can't believe this. But, you know, you go back and you look at the old Mads and you're like, oh, for the day, those are pretty crazy too. But, is it like, can a kid read that now? Mad magazine.
You know, speaking of, you know, other things that we've seen, things do not look good right now for the number 4 publisher. You know, as far as IDW goes, Lock and Key did get picked up for season number 2, but V-Wars, October Faction both got declined. And then we got word today that Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is going on hiatus, as well as G.I. Joe. Those are, you know, probably 2 of their better selling titles. I think Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is the second best selling ongoing indie comic in the entire industry. We've been talking about IDW for a little while now. It looks pretty grave now, doesn't it?
I mean, yeah, they got that potentially that Chinese money. So, I mean, you know. That might work. No, I think it's troublesome. But I mean, V-Wars and October Faction were terrible. I watched both. I could not. I mean, they were awful shows. Lock and Key was at least a decent show, so it's no real surprise this happened. But I mean, if you're putting money in an investor and you've got a 1 in 3 track record of getting some stuff picked up for season 2, and this is Netflix, it picks up anything. I mean, like you know. Doc, you can put a camera outside your window and just film the street and probably get a season committal from Netflix. I think that's not a good sign. So I don't know who dumps more money in. I do think we're in around probably late April, May, where you're going to see a number of these small publishers just either shutter or what's happening already is they're down to 5-person operations while they wait this thing out. But
skeleton crews.
Yeah, what they come back with is going to be. People always need to remember that comics operate on this delayed timeline. So a lot of things being drawn, commissioned, put in play are, months in advance. People are working on the June, July comics. So we're going to see this very weird, assuming things come back and comics start shipping again in June, we're going to see the real impact of what all this means in November, December. So we may not get that second X-Men event in December. So, hey.
Oh, thank you.
I'm still thinking about just
breaks my heart.
Putting a camera in my front window and getting a Netflix deal.
Do it.
I think that'll work.
Do it. Get some cash. I'm telling you. Yeah. You get a season pickup.
When you get to 10,000 views, you might be able to get this show on it.
Doc could do his own. Doc do his own version of. Doc do his own version of Sex and the City. I mean, considering his proclivities, it could be pretty impressive.
Mostly strippers and poor decision making.
Yeah.
So
I know enough about Doc to know that I wouldn't watch that.
Typical HBO show. Yeah.
In this episode, we get to see Doc try out all the pieces of furniture in his apartment.
House. I at least have a house. Come on.
Oh, yeah, okay, house. Yeah, house.
So this is what Marvel needs to do right now. They need to make sure that they have a script ready to go when they're, because like you said, Perch, there's going to be a delay in comics. We're going to get these 3 weeks that Larry said are in the warehouse, and there's a couple other stories at publisher, at printers that are ready to go and whatnot. And then there's going to be nothing for like a few months. So they need to make sure that Mark Bagley draws everything, because he's the only guy that can get it done that quick, probably. And I'm not even the biggest fan. I'm just saying.
You're going to get Bagley and Booth and a lot of these like very actually, and here's a hope that you get some of these really kind of talented creators who can actually produce and meet their schedules, get more work, and maybe some of these editors that keep hiring their indie buddies can like just cut that crap out for a little bit and give people who actually meet deadlines some work. Because
there's a lot of people, the pencils down movement, that are not going to be coming back. And thank God for that, because some of those creators have just been terrible consistently. They just need to go.
The only problem with that is that they're not going to be doing anything Hollywood like what they usually go to. I don't even know how much, I don't know advertising, but that's where a lot of comic book people go to also. Are there any jobs out there right now going on for them to not sit and wait for a comic job to come back to them? Is my wonder.
Starbucks?
They're gonna.
Well, if they want to make real money, of course
Learn
they'll
to
go to
code?
Starbucks.
No, they're. I mean, you've got Microsoft laying off. Like, the jobs are shuttering everywhere. I mean, they're going to sit down. They're going to wait it out. I mean, keep in mind that if you really want to see, we see, my belief is that a lot of the pencils down people will be right back. It's not. They're not going to go away until you see the editors start to chip away. It's the editors that are hiring and commissioning these people. It's not like Marvel is, as a corporation, has all these artists on staff and they're going to thin the herd. No, they're all freelancers, and the editors are making these choices. And in many cases, they're playing Moneyball with the comic of how can I get these pages for a cheaper rate. That's why you see the bigger name artists just doing covers, because that's where the money is spent.
Well, one thing that's hurt freelancers as far as in the state of California is the new freelance laws. That's just butchered them. I mean, because you have to have certain people on staff now. You can't just hire them more than, I think you can only hire them like 30 times a year, or not even that much. And if you do it more than that, then you have to hire them with full benefits. You can't just keep them on as a freelancer. So in New York's going to be passing the same law. It's already hitting their legislature. So, it's that could hit the comics market heavy. That means that those people would have to be, instead of having those freelance creators, they'd have to say, okay, well, we have to hire these people. What are we going to do? So,
well, for the artists, it wouldn't really matter because other than like Mark Bagley, I don't think I can think of another artist that might be able to draw actually 30 books in a year.
I'm talking about a month.
Yeah, he actually might. He might be able to draw a book a day. Dude is goddamn Flash. But a lot of these Z-list writers, that's where it's gonna hurt them. I mean, does somebody like Vita Ayala or Tinny Howard actually sell enough to, you could hire them for 30 scripts a year, but do they bring you enough money to pay them benefits and insurance? No, they absolutely do not.
Well, on that very down note, we do have a $5 super chat from Kenneth Dowling. One more before I head out. Thank you very much, Wes, for having great content. Love the discussion. All you guys take care, be safe and healthy. Thank you very much, Kenneth Dowling. You be safe as well, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks.
Also, Everett Todd said, bring back anthology magazines. Thank you for supporting the channel. I hate anthologies, so I'm going to sit this one out. Who likes anthology magazines?
Oh, I think they were. I mean, I think anthologies can work just fine. It's all about who's curating that stuff. And I mean, put it this way: a lot of people would consider or have considered things like Shonen Jump an anthology. I mean, it's more episodic. I would label it that. But in that model, sure, I think there's a definite place for it. I think that right now with the comic industry, I actually think it's a good idea because you have a number of people who are, I mean, there's not enough story or idea to just immediately jump into a 22-page or ongoing series. So we think about a lot of the stuff that Marvel has put out. If you took some of these 4-issue, 5-issue limited series and you just carved up the story and had, several pages in an anthology, it'd probably sell better and be a better, content to the market. But there's always ways to do this.
Well, they do. Marvel does those $8 like Marvel Tales or something like that, where they'll take like Spider-Man and they'll have like a bunch of stories. And I mean, it's horribly expensive for something that should only be like $5 at the most, But DC also has their 100-page giants. Some new. I think the problem with those is they don't go back far enough with their stories. If you're going to do a Wonder Woman thing, you don't need to have some other character that isn't Wonder Woman. Just go and give me something that's Don Heck drawn or something like that. I feel. But also there's anthologies from like smaller companies, like Fantagraphics does that kind of stuff. So I'm not exactly, I guess I like anthologies. I just don't love them. They don't sell the greatest also.
I always get hung up on there's always a best story and a worst story. And the disparity between the two is usually so great. I get hung up on why did they put this in there when they could have put more of this?
Page count? It was a 3-page story. I needed it.
Yeah.
I'll take anything to fill this out.
I'll tell you
So I
what,
do want
those.
to say quick thank you very much to Nolan Nerd for the $2 super chat. Amen, Doc. Amen. Man, did Doc make a point? Yeah, I guess even a clock is right twice a day.
Yeah, I know, right?
Clock is right twice a day. There you go. Thank you, Nolan.
Shocked. I've been shocked at how well the Walmart books sell. Talk about anthologies. I mean, it's just. You get one new story and a whole bunch of reprints in it. They just sell like mad. So whoever came up with that idea to sell at Walmart, is a freaking genius. But I like the fact that they're reprinting them now for the comic shops.
My question is I know you said that in your area they sell great.
Oh, yeah.
I want to know how they're doing, kind of nationwide.
They're doing well. From DC and kind of reps that they actually sell really well. The program has been expanded to target for different content, and they're going to do more. And there's a couple of retailers who are very outspoken against it, but by and large, I think as we've seen it shake out, it's a good thing for the industry. It's getting new eyes on things. It's bringing new readers. And it goes back to both anthologies and content for kids and Japan all in one. This is a way that people, especially a younger audience, likes to consume comics. You've got a bunch of stories in one book. It feels like that Shonen Jump kind of product, and it's absolutely the right thing for the industry right now because it's introducing characters, and I think that's good.
Okay, so it is actually but my bigger curiosity was about new readers and non-readers.
So I think this we don't know, and it will take a much longer time for us to really understand what's happened. And that is, okay, so it is selling well at Walmart. How many of those readers are then getting to shops? And a lot of the Walmart books, by the way, promote local shops, at least in a very light way. Say that, go find stuff at your local shop. Not nearly enough. It would be much better. But there was, I think one had the comic store locator, an ad for that. So, I mean, there is some attempt to translate people over. What we can't tell right now is how well is it hooking the kids? And I would argue that the content inside those books still is not hitting the right notes. And weirdly enough, as a lot of the big companies have pushed this kind of Moneyball concept of getting cheaper artists and cheaper creators to do content, why they're not going more to Asia and getting some of these manga artists who probably would not cost very much and actually putting in content in that flavor. I mean, it'd be smart, but I don't think the content is catching kids, but we won't know for a few years at least.
Okay. That, because I mean, I know that was kind of the whole point of it is to hook non-readers. And if all you're doing is just selling to existing readers, then what the hell's the point? You're just sending them to waste more gas going somewhere else.
I think you are getting, so this is speculation on my part, but I think you are getting kids. I think you are getting new audiences, certainly in terms of where they're placed. I may be wrong about that. I think you're getting it, but I don't necessarily know that it's more than just I'd like a Superman book and, mom or dad remembers liking Superman, or maybe they're into comics, so they buy it for the kids in the hopes that it's going to translate over. I mean, I'm speaking for myself and a couple other people I know. That's what we've done. But again, like I mentioned earlier, the kids quickly get their hands on One Piece, and then they go all in on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, that will basically wrap up today's show. I want to thank all the members of the panel. I think Larry and Yule did a great job as first-time panel members. We'll definitely be having them back on the channel. Had a great time. You guys had a lot of good points and perspective. But let's give some comic book recommendations. Obviously, we're not recommending new comics this week because there are no new comics. But Doc, what are you recommending for the viewers?
You know what? I'm going to still recommend going back. You know what? Here's one that it's off normal beaten path. I'm going to recommend that you go and subscribe to Brett Booth's Patreon, because he's putting out a lot of art that he's going to be like kind of preliminary art for one of, and actually both of the 2 creator-owned books that he's going to be doing in the not too distant future, one of which is called Parsec. It looks dope. It's another speedster style book. So if you're a Flash fan, you'll probably like it. He's a huge Wally West fan. So I'm betting you're going to have at least a little bit of that in there. And I also recommend calling you or emailing your local comic shop. Anything that you have sitting there on the on that wanna buy list from back issues, hit them up with your list. Worst thing they say is no.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Definitely be in contact with your local comic shop. See if maybe they want to meet that price that you saw on eBay, or if you have that trade that you've been looking at for maybe the past 3 months, but you just couldn't fit it into your budget because of new comics. There are new comics. Go get that trade and see if you can support your shop any way that you can.
Yeah, and for a specific book, you know what? I would highly recommend the first volume of the entire first 29 issues of the first volume of The Authority.
Boom. There you go. All right, Yule, it's your first time on the channel. I saw you grab a book. It seems like you're prepared. What do you recommend?
I am prepared. So my store is Fantastic Comics, and we have a YouTube channel, and you can see my reviews of the books I'm talking about. So most recently, I read Rubber Blanket #3, an anthology. Dave Mazzucchelli, who did year 1. And I usually put like information about the creators in my videos. And my future one I'm reading right now for my future video is The Price by Jim Starlin. It's kind of the predecessor to Dreadstar, but I'm reading the annual Dreadstar annual, and they recolor it, and it's really sweet. And I'm also going to do a video on these comic book cards that I found by Eclipse.
Nice.
Come on, friends. There you go. So those are the things I'm reading right now.
All right. So Trevor McGuire is he's recommending the Berserk Deluxe volumes from Dark Horse. Dane Barrett strongly suggests the Sumerian Queen of the Black Coast #1 and 2. Definitely a different take on Conan. A lot more adult oriented than what you're going to get in Marvel Comics. Super True is got the library edition of Umbrella Academy. We got any more in there? All right, Pele, Pele, what are you recommending this week?
We're talking about anthologies. I'm gonna go say, go out in the late '80s. Marvel Comics presents. If you've not read them, the Weapon X series that's in there, go ahead and get it. It's great stuff. It's classic, good old fashioned Wolverine. I was reading them again not too long ago. Some of the team ups are really cool in that. Also Marvel team up from similar time, the third volume, I think. Yeah, there's not many keys in all those, especially Marvel Comics Presents. I think that the first Weapon X story is like a $10 book. The rest of them you can get out of the like 50-cent bins, but or you can find on eBay like huge amounts of them for like $10 or something. But yeah, go ahead and dig into those and enjoy them. But yeah, that's it.
Boom. Club Cosplay is recommending East to West volumes 1 through 9 for under $20 on digital. That is a great recommendation and a great price. Jonathan Hickman Maybe his seminal work, although I do think the Black Monday Murders is better. Computer Robots is recommending Thor Masterworks from issues 126 to 146. Something threw me off here. Blood Realm by any volume by Alternative. You can get those the giant size one, or I think they're $2.
Copy of it, yeah.
Yeah, you can get the 60-page giants on those. Those are excellent stories. Actually,
good recommendation here.
The art gets better over time, in my opinion. Nolan Nerds recommending Ice Cream Man, the best anthology. Dominic Powell Dion is recommending Birthright by Joshua Williamson. Reynard City on Patreon. Resurrection Man by Dan Abnett and Andy Lanning. Middle West Rising Stars by J. Michael Straczynski. And the last chapter of Promised Neverland. That is a awesome manga. It's probably my favorite right there. And Club Cosplay, we got in your east to west. Thank you very much for supporting the channel. $2. Definitely hit that thumbs up button on your way out. Definitely appreciate everybody in here. Well, we got a lot of recommendations.
Dude, it's crazy. There's some good ones.
Lock and Key, Reed Rags, Britannia from Valiant. Actually, that's excellent. I think there's 3 volumes of that one. I love those stories. Oh man, who was it? Is that Milligan? I think it is Peter Milligan right there.
There's a Velvet Glove by Dan Clowes. He's a local to the Bay Area, East Bay.
And Tevye Smoka's recommending Spider-Girl, Mayday Parker. Old School Comics is on the first 12 issues of Micronauts.
All right, so there's an IDW big Micronauts coming out that this is the worst thing about the virus. I'm not getting that right now. So sad.
End of Thought is recommending Different World Volume 1. George Renda, Killlock is a must read. I agree. And the worst thing about this is we're not going to get issues 5 and 6 on time. All right, Birch, what do you recommend?
Well, I mean, yeah, I always go for east to west, so that was a great recommendation earlier. I mean, if you're dipping into kind of now older content that you need to find, my daughter said I had to recommend One Piece because they're obsessed with it. Definitely. The nice part about that is you have like months of content you can either read or watch. You'll never end. In some cases, that's a problem, but there are some, Why the Last Man, Fables. If you're into stuff like that, this is some good thought-provoking comics. Especially with our current end of the world situation, it's nice stuff. And I've been enjoying a lot of Marvel in the 80s, picking up the Epic Run and some of the comics that were produced back then. There are some really solid titles back in that 80s era. People often in our group go to the 90s as kind of the place to go, but the 80s had amazing stories that are good, in a good way, dense reads that in this current situation. And you can get some really nice collections and other books from used bookstores and other places. If you want to get in something cheap, if you have a half-price books in your area, you can go and get something for $6 and get yourself a giant phone book full of comics from that era that are pretty solid stuff. So the content is out there. If you can leave the house or get it shipped to you, go find it. There's a lot of good stuff out there.
Well said. Juan Del Diablo is recommending Daredevil Chip Zdarsky Volume 1 and 2. Excellent recommendation. The art in Volume 1 is amazing. The art in Volume 2, not so much. Chuck Hennessy is recommending Cinema Purgatorio. Now, if you want to see if Alan Moore still has it, this is probably the last great story that I know of that he wrote. And I think it just concluded not all that long ago. Subatru, oh my goodness, it's getting away from me. He's recommending Ronin Island, Once and Future, Umbrella Academy. I might be out of time.
Once and Future. That one's good.
You can't go wrong with Usagi Yojimbo, Hellboy, and the Goon. Very true.
There you go.
Thanos Rising 1 through 5. Yeah, that one's pretty good. That was still Jeff Lemire at that point, right?
Well, no, that's the Jason Aaron.
The Jason Aaron origin story. That's a gross comic. It's a good read though. Yeah, that is correct. All right, I ran out of time. So what I'm recommending is I just read again the Batman Long Halloween. I'm reading Dark Victory on digital because I don't have a physical copy. Because I do have a project I'm working on with Josh. We're going to talk about those 2 comic books. They're excellent. Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale at their very apex of their creative partnership. Definitely check those out if you got the time. That was an excellent story. a wonderful Two-Face origin story. So there we go. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. Salamat po, and I'm out.
Take care, everybody.